the man he's playing, he sure did show off.
Yeah, Jayson was saying about that really there was too much going on for him. He was so involved in getting the place set up and ready for the Premier League tournament. And even as it was going on, he had various things to take care of. And he said he'd be happy to host it again, but he'd be much more hands-off and concentrate on his game. So, as I was saying, we've not had any close finishes so far on this quarter-final Saturday. We fancy that might just change here. Jayson Shaw will start us off.
Rack, Jayson Shaw to break. Foul shots. Ball in hand.
Yeah, we'll get another look here in a moment. Jason's going to pay attention as well, seeing if he caught the one a bit thin.
Start the clock.
The 9's in a nasty spot near the side pocket. And I wouldn't really say he caught it too thin, really. Just a kind of a nasty kiss off the bottom of the 9. But a difficult layout even with ball in hand. Now, I always say that I think Shane may be still the best player in the world when the ball's laid tough. And we're going to get one to start here. Now, a lot of players would say, why would you even take on this rack with a 3-foul possibility? You know, 3 consecutive fouls by the same player is a loss of game. But these players are so good at escaping. You would rather take your percentage play on trying to clear the table and maybe, you know, making a decision to play safe later in the rack. Now, the 3 is the real problem. If it doesn't go by the black 8, that being the red 3. Okay, he didn't touch the 3, so it must play. Elevated near the 2, though, so should be able to play it in the corner.
Extension called.
Talked to Shane a little bit earlier in the day, and actually, when he arrived back to the arena, he went back and got a little nap. Talked about it last night, thought he was a bit fatigued. Yeah, just like last night, an early miss. That wasn't easy by any means, but still one you would like him to pocket.
When you were talking to him today, JJ, did he say anything in particular about last night's match?
You know, just he agreed that he was fatigued a little bit, and again, I think it was you and I in the booth. I think it was, anyways. We saw him kind of doing a lot on the sidelines in between the ad breaks, trying to get the blood flowing a bit, really wanting that match badly for many reasons. Okay, this looks like perfect speed. Oh, this may roll out. No, it's a good speed there. And you could tell because, you know, you're going to miss balls, right? I mean, that's just going to happen. All these players, you know, they're going to miss from time to time. But just like Shane said in the interview, he missed many easy kind of safeties as well. And some of them were decision-based, which will usually label a little fatigue with these great players. Watch out for the scratch, cross corner. Oh, how good is that? And that's all feel. A little bit of, you know, judging, you may say, but anytime you're adding that side spin, it's just all that gut instinct on where to hit on that side rail.
Fair to say, the blood is flowing early tonight.
Now, these guys have a pretty kind of historic past playing each other. You know, they've had some discrepancies in the past, and like Carl said, they played some long races to 100 before, challenge matches and whatnot. So, you know, rivalries, as Frederick Gorse said, is great in any sport. There's definitely one here. And you see that 9 ball, he was kind of sizing up, just because no matter how you play it, if you try to get above it for the corner, upper corner, you have to have a pretty good cue ball. If you're going to play it down in the lower left, you know it's going to be a difficult shot no matter where the cue ball ends up. Now you wonder, is there any way to take a chance to open the 9 off the rail somehow. You know, the 6 is over the pocket, the 7's kind of over the side. Just don't really see something that's not a bit risky. I'll tell you one he could play. Could try to come off the 7 to the top cushion and just kind of rub across the 9 a little bit. He's not going to fool with it. I'll tell you, just like any sport, you know, the adrenaline gets going, right? But when you make a great out, no matter what it is, kind of sets you up and just gets you that extra boost of confidence. There's a lot of players that play, oh, he's going to draw this. He's trying to come above. One thing he wants to avoid is something steep, or he doesn't want to be frozen on the side rail. Anytime that point is right there, though, it can be a little tricky.
Jayson Shaw had the opportunity presented by having the opening break of the match, but he scratched from it. And in the end, it's Shane Van Boening who wins the first rack. He leads Jayson Shaw 1-0. Yeah, we talk about these two as big names in Mosconi Cup history. Shane Van Boening last year actually equaled the record for the most Mosconi Cups played in for either side with a total of 17. And obviously claim that record for himself if he's involved in Florida later in the year, and I think that's pretty much the safest bet in all of sport. But he's only actually been on the winning team 3 times. In fact, as Carl Boyes pointed out, Carl himself has played in more Mosconis than Van Boening has won.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, just the swings in that Mosconi Cup. You know, the dominance that Europe has had the last 12, 13 years. And I think the score line, what's the score line on the Mosconi now? It's 16-14, is that right?
Yeah, Europe have edged a few ahead. Certainly, I think the most relevant stat is that it's 12-2 from the last 14. You consider how dominant the US were in the early days of the Mosconi, but it was a very different thing back then, really.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Rack 2, Shane Van Boening to break, leading 1-0.
I didn't play in the early ones, of course, but more of the second wave, you might say. But I always thought Europe put together a pretty darn good team. And of course, what they have now is, who makes more golden breaks than Shane Van Boening? We talked about it last night.
You made that point last night in the commentary. Well, we saw a golden break very early on in the first match of the night. Fedor Gorst with his first attempt, and Shane Van Boening with his first break. In the last of the quarterfinals, has had a golden break in the same pocket. And in no time at all, he's leading 2-0.
And changed his break a little bit. You might say it's around 75% now, where he used to go at it pretty much like breaking head on.
In those 3 Mosconi Cup wins that Van Boening has been part of, he's actually made the winning 9-ball on 2 occasions. And we were talking at the Mosconi in London, where you were American captain once again. You were obviously hoping to pull off a big turnaround on the final day. Do you know who potted the winning 9-ball the last time a team came from behind to win on the last day? Take a look in the mirror.
I was about to say, I think it's me, 2005 maybe, right?
03
at the MGM, yeah.
I was hoping it might be an omen for you on that final night at Alexandra Palace.
Yeah,
it was a funny night the night before. We didn't know what to do. The team, we were down 8-6, if I remember, and we decided to go to a Shania Twain concert and have a little fun, and got some late tickets. It was an incredible night, and the next day was even better. Lucky enough to win that, make that winning 9-ball a couple times, actually, both there at the MGM. I think that was against Marcus Chamat, I believe I was playing. Is that right?
I think so, yeah. Sounds about right.
The next one in 05 was Thorsten Holman, I believe. Well, a dry break after a golden break. So here's Shaw's chance to get on the board.
Can't believe you didn't give me advance notice about that story. I could have come up with a wonderful Shania Twain song title pun. Now the moment's passed, JJ.
Yeah, you would know better than me. It's funny, I can't remember the name of the artist, even though I know who it is. You would certainly know because he's English. He's kind of like the English Elvis from back in the day.
Cliff Richard, maybe?
No,
Something like that?
a little more famous than him, I believe. And
The English Elvis.
I think he's English anyways.
Anyway, go on, where are we going with this?
We were debating on who to go see after we decided to go to a concert, and it'll hit me in a minute. Yeah, it was Tom Jones.
Oh, you've upset a lot of people there. Tom Jones is Welsh.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, he's their pride and joy.
Well,
Anyway, British. I'll
I
say
didn't
that.
mean to anyways.
Of
I'm
course
part
not.
Welsh anyway, so.
Indeed.
All right, Shaw back at it. I'm sure there were some English that were Tom Jones fans. I'll leave it alone.
Well, you know, it's not unusual for them to like him.
No. All right. He's falling a little straight here on the 6. He's got to go forward. That's the real play. He kind of stunned it versus rolling it. Maybe to get a hair more off the rail, but now he's got a bit of a nasty angle on the 7, kind of going towards the 8. Many players play with somewhat of an extension. These two play with the longer extension, and both of them have kind of toyed with it in the last 6 or 8 months, playing with it or without it. I think it's there to stay now for both. Smart play there and just keeping it as simple as possible. Short side was there.
They've had it all already in this match. We've had Shania Twain, we've had Tom Jones, we've had a golden break. We've also had 2 racks for Shane Van Boening, and now 1 for Jayson Shaw. Shane Van Boening raced into a 2-0 lead over Jayson Shaw in this quarter-final, including a golden break in the 2nd rack. Jayson Shaw has got on the board now after Van Boening had a dry break in rack 3. So Shaw breaking now at 2-1 down. So scratched from his first break of the match. At his 2nd attempt, he's got 3 balls down and a shot at the 3.
Yeah, and the best thing in pools to see the greats make the tough shots, and here's one. I'd like him leveling out here and just going forward to play the pink in the upper left. Could elevate trying to hold the ball, but Jayson's percentage when he levels out on these shots goes way up.
As the 4 prevented the prospect of a 3-9 combo and a quick kill.
Yeah, it absolutely has. I'm looking right down the line. Probably takes his extension here to think this one over. He's got just a sliver of the red 3. It's not much to go over the pink 4 though, so you know, he talked about a safety game in the interview and he wants that to be
Extension called.
really good. It's got to be good to win these matches. But I tell you, I mean, it'd be hard maybe not to go at the jump shot, trying to bury this combo. What he's got to recognize here is just a bit to go over the pink. So don't overhit this ball.
Jayson Shaw, known as Eagle Eye, but that was the role that Julian Roper, the referee from Sheffield, was performing there, and he's doing it again, taking a very close look. And just a word about Julian, it's the first time he's actually been out there in a big televised event in the main arena, and best compliment you can ever pay to a referee is that we haven't said anything about him all week.
No.
Fine job.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely ref some of these major events on the World 9-Ball Tour, but really hasn't been on the TV doing it so much. But he's done a fine job. A real nice guy as well. I don't know if the people back home or the people viewing could hear the chants of Europe, but of course the hometown favorite's Filler, right? I mean, that's the guy they want to see win. But every match that is involved a European and a non-European, you could tell they're still pulling for the mainland here in Europe, no matter the country. I like to kind of kill this ball a little bit, but you don't have to really, sacrificing maybe the pot on the 6. Looks like he's got to go all the way up and back down. So all about the line and the speed.
So 3 balls down off the break. That didn't lead him any further in terms of seeing out the rack. He's ended up winning it anyway. So from 2-0 down, Jayson Shaw has got it back to 2-all. And, you know, just picking up on something you were saying there about Jayson Shaw being cheered on as a European here. Now, you know your golf, so you probably know that whenever the Ryder Cup was played on this side of the Atlantic, it never actually moved outside of Britain until 1997. And, of course, it's moved around Spain, Italy, France. They've all had it since, Ireland as well, and Ireland will have it again in a couple of years' time. Mosconis in the past have gone around Europe to Malta, the Netherlands as well, but again, when it was a smaller event. Now that it's become so established, is it time maybe to consider at some point in the near future having European-hosted Mosconi Cups moving around to places like Germany or maybe Spain, where we had such a great atmosphere last summer? Great opportunity to really grow the event and the sport.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. I mean, Ali Pali is a special place for all of us. Of course, we've had, you know, ups and downs, smiles and some tears, depending on what side you're on and what year. But I think these fans in other countries are deserving to host the Mosconi Cup, and I think it would be incredible no matter where it was in Europe.
Alexandra Palace has really established itself as a home for it on this side of the Atlantic. Something to consider for the future. Back to the present day, for the second time in his first 3 breaks of the match, Shaw has scratched, and he's left a good chance here.
Yeah, the first one we kind of inspected on the replay. This one definitely looked a little, well, no, the thing is, it kind of hit the middle diamond, but it didn't get a kiss and it went downward. So maybe a little mishit on the cue ball. Always a pretty shot here. We're going to see he's going to play a heavy angle to come some 3 rails off the top rail, the side rail, then in between the 5 and 9 and drop down for the 2. You know, and the thing about these ball in hands, and again, getting to knock some balls in, if you are feeling a little fatigue, that's where the fatigue may go away after getting to swing the cue a few times. Right from the get, this had a different feeling, a different complexion, you might say, than our last 3 matches of today. just kind of draw off the 7 here. Now, he doesn't want to move the 7 too much, and I don't think he can really get the brown 7, you know, trapped up on the green 6. I don't think there's a real problem there.
Talking earlier today about the sheer title-winning pedigree of our 8 quarter-finalists. 6 of them winners of the World Championship. The other 2 have both been winners of the US Open, and 3 of the 8 have won both of those titles, the 2 real standout, prestige, historic individual titles in the sport. And Boening was only 24 when he won the first of his currently record-equaling 5 US Opens, all the way back in 2007. Took him a long time and a couple of final disappointments before he at last added the world title around about this time 2 years ago. What a great sight that is. That's the upper tier you can see. Just filled up more and more as the days have gone on.
Yeah, his family played the game. He started at 2 years old, roughly. I think his grandmother was a national champion. So it's in the family.
Scratch off the break from Jayson Shaw, and he is still not been ahead at any stage. Shane Van Boening regains the lead at 3-2. Been so much talk about the new break rules over the last couple of years, and you were talking to a couple of big names earlier today, and they have some interesting thoughts about some further changes that they feel may be necessary.
Well, I mean, you know, you want to make changes to keep the integrity in the game. You know, you don't want to see 30% of what could be just a beautiful game of 9-ball when it's all there, and you're still not going to see it all. But, you know, we made some break rule changes. The pocket size, of course, is great. I think there's some more small changes coming, but, you know, the guys are getting so good at the break as well. You know, I don't think there's going to be a huge change, but there's been some entertaining thoughts, maybe switching sides from break to break to where you can't get so dialed in from one side.
So it'll be a case that if you broke from the left-hand side of the break box in one rack, the next time you broke, you'd have to break from the other side. That's the suggestion that you were talking about.
Yeah, I think, you know, generally throughout my career anyways, everyone I ever talked to, and they always had a side they liked. So, you know, when the rule is you can break from one side, that's the side you're going to practice from. Now you're going to put in a little time on the other.
Leading by 3 racks to 2.
But for the most part, when the pressure's on, you're going to stick to the side you like, especially if it's working. And everything in pool, sorry, Michael, everything in pool is not so cut and dry as well. What a lot of players, amateur players, and even some pros don't realize. You know, technique has a lot to do with how you're going to break the ball. Some guys play a little more stun, some more draw, some cut a little thinner, some a little thicker. But I think switching sides, I think brings a nice element to the game.
And that's it, isn't it? These changes that have been made over the last few years, it's all about bringing a bit more variety to the game, and well, that would only add to it further, really, if you had to alternate your breaking.
Well, excuse me, you know, if we just look at last year with the changes we made, the semifinals and the finals we had were incredible. I mean, they were just, we saw all kinds of shots. Score lines were incredible, and when it was a runaway, it was something special by one player that you don't see very often, and we're starting to see that special a little more often, so we got to think about things.
And that's it. There are only 10 balls on the table, including the cue ball. It's a small playing area, so it's always going to be a battle from an entertainment point of view to provide as much variety as you can. These things can all only be good for the game's profile.
All right, this is going to get tricky. I didn't think the pink 4 slid by the 8, so he's come a bit far. No matter if the pink 4 does go, now he's gotten over that purple 5. So problems here for SVB in game 6. Does the cross side bank go? And can he even cue the ball to really hold the cue ball? Because the safety, you hate to go down with a
Extension
low percentage safety. No, he's not going to be happy with that. He had to guard to make sure the pink didn't come up to make an available pocket, but he wasn't too happy with his safety game last night. What's he looking at here? Is he going to elevate here, trying to draw off the pink coming behind the 8? Maybe kind of rearrange the furniture a little bit on the 9.
Extension called.
If he's left the right side, oh, that's not cuttable on the side, so difficult here for SVB. And the main reason is he doesn't have to dead slow roll it, but he's got to play it relatively light to hold for some type of shot on the 5. That's in the lower right.
Well, that could hardly have turned out any better. Well, it was Boening who made the better start. 2-0 up, with the help of a golden break, it has to be said, in rack 2. Since then, Shaw's had the better of it. Won 3 of the last 4 racks now, and he's level once again in this last quarter-final. It's 3 each.
What a moment. Here we go. This is all about emotion right now. What a shot! It went down! I cannot believe it! Wow! And the last man standing!
Isn't it so refreshing to enjoy a pure feel-good moment like this?
With a tear in the eye and a shiver down the spine.
So many wonderful moments down the years, and particularly from 2023. We're up and running now with our first big major televised event of the year. The next one isn't far away. Just over a week after we finish here, we'll be in Telford for the 3rd UK Open. Then it's the World Championship being played in Saudi Arabia for the first time ever. On to Fulda, which has become a very familiar and well-loved stop on the circuit in its traditional early August date for the European Open, and only a week's gap between that and the US Open, which once again will be played in Atlantic City. And those two big team events coming up at the end of the year, the Moscone Cup as ever in Florida just before Christmas, and in October, the inaugural and long-awaited Reyes Cup. It's finally going to happen, Europe versus Asia. And they are far from the only major dates coming up later in the year. There will be more announcements of tournaments coming up very soon.
Rack 7.
Imagine all the smaller events on the World 9-Ball Tour. There have been 7 ranking events already in 2024. Jayson Shaw won one of them earlier this month in the US. He's level at 3-all in this quarter-final.
Appears he can get at the blue 2 in the upper left. Now Jayson kind of inspecting how the rack is, you know, maybe a hair tilted at times. It's hard to be exactly perfect, so you saw him changing sides there. But a difficult play, being elevated over the purple 5. Probably just wants to knock this in as simply as possible, then play some type of safety off the red 3. Wow, he said, heck with that, I'm trying to produce something. Now the safety has become more difficult, especially if the 3 is frozen. If it wasn't frozen, he could play a rail first, just kind of tickling the 3 underneath the brown 7 as the cue ball comes across. Now he's got to think of something different. Well, I'm not sure what it is. Really? I guess he could cut the 3 a little bit with maybe some right spin and try and follow the cue ball as the 3 kind of rubs the 7 a bit. Yeah, this has become a very difficult position. Now, if the 3 again hadn't frozen, and the reason why that's important, Michael, the rule is when a ball's frozen, that rail does not count as far as the object ball itself. Yeah, he needed more. He hit it a little thick. He cut that ball. He's going to serve up maybe a winning combination here in Game 7.
Yeah, that rule you're referring to is in the context of a ball having to hit a rail for it to be a legal shot.
Yeah, so essentially, you know, the 3 could go to another, off the rail, off another ball, back to that same rail, and it's okay. But you just can't simply tap that ball to the side rail and consider it a legal shot.
Extension called.
Surprising he was going to roll this, though. A lot of players don't like that rolling the off-angle combo. It'd be more of elevating the cue with a little bit of speed.
So twice now in this match, Jayson Shaw has drawn level both times. Shane Van Boening has won the next rack. In this instance, he does it with a 3-9 combination, which we're going to see again here into the side pocket. And that makes it 4-3.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, his aggression, we love it, and that's what makes him great. But maybe trying to produce something on the 3 with that serious cluster is what got him in trouble. If he knocks the 2 in a little more simply, the safety behind the pink off the 3 was pretty routine.
We were talking there about the World 9-Ball Tour, more and more events all the time, and they're wearing the WNT Pro logo. The players were basically asked to sign up as registered professionals on the World 9-Ball Tour, and well, pretty much everyone did. That's why they're wearing those logos on the shirts they've been provided with.
Yeah, that's 128, and you know, there is some status beyond that, but most of the tournaments now you have to qualify.
Break, leading by 4 racks to 3.
Yeah, the big open events, it's a mix now of players coming in off the rankings, and then others will come through qualifying events played at various venues.
Oh, that's the strike he wants. That's the timing. You see the spread, no clusters really. Now he does have an angle on the 2, the blue 2, to get to the 3. He wanted a little easier play on the 3, but I don't think it's going to be a real problem. The only issue here is now he's got to produce getting on the 3 to get to the pink 4. He could stun one rail behind this. He could draw naturally behind it. Could play from underneath. A lot of choices. He's going to play from underneath, and that's solely so he can be going forward to try and get on the pink. Now, good thing for SVB, he's not going to get, I don't think, ideal, but the purple 5 is near the pocket up the table, so he can handle a lot. And he's amped up. I mean, he overhit that ball by some piece, and he hit it a little thick. So that tells you if he plays it to the pocket, he's probably out of position near the brown 7. Don't like rolling this as much. I want to draw this off the 6. Nothing crazy, just about medium. This is the reason why I didn't want to overdo it, because the ball draws pretty easily here on the slick table. I think the 5 does pass the black 8.
Yeah, we've got a very good view from the table here, or of the table, and it looks a lot more promising than it does on screen there in terms of getting past the 8 ball. Yeah, plenty of room. Back in prime position now.
Yeah, knowing Shane in his game, though, I just don't feel like he's there as far as knowing everything's intact. You know, when Shane's really on point, it's kind of like just needs that first look to know he can dissect getting through just about any layout. But showing a lot of heart here and a lot of grit. Okay, I kind of like one rail just floating into position. He may draw the ball 2 rails, a little low left.
Jayson Shaw lost the first 2 racks of this match. He's battled hard since then to try to keep up with Shane Van Boening. The net result of it all is that he's right back where he was, trailing by 2 once again. That break and run makes it 5-3 in favour of Shane Van Boening. And we were talking about the WNT logo on the players' shirts there. The other thing you notice looking at them, the vast array of logos of all sorts they have, and the sponsorship and endorsement income and opportunities that the players have now, particularly star names like these, it's just at a different level to where it's ever been before.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet for the players and very deserving, and it's good that this class of players is really, you know, set up for the players behind them, the youngsters coming up, and, you know, families and parents looking at youngsters playing professional pool. You always want your kids to be secure, and it's getting more to that point. Here's the stats so far. I wouldn't say anything too crazy. I mean, the 2 scratches on the break, that's a killer, right? 2 break and runs as well.
Yeah, although one of those was the golden break, so it's more down to fortune than anything else. And people say it's surprising actually to see all these equipment logos on the pool players. Is there really the market there that these top companies have a big pool of money to be competing for by sponsoring these players? But the market is absolutely huge, even in your country alone. I think people aren't aware of how many serious registered pool players there actually are in the US.
Leading by 5 racks to 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's some leagues that have 300,000-400,000 players, and pool rooms everywhere. Oh, we're in Hanoi as well. What do you think the market is there? he gets a lot of action on the 9. Did get a ball down. Looks like he's going to get a little gap at the 1. I'll tell you, this is the type of shot you'll go for a lot of times because you want to run the cue ball for shape. I don't know if there's really that great a safety anyways, and if you can keep Shaw in the chair, that's what you want. Now, I don't know if he has enough of the 1, but I think so. So he'll come some 2 cushions around the purple between the red 3 and 8.
Make sure your phones are on silent, please.
Yeah, that was really badly timed, you know, the noise coming from someone in the crowd and one of their devices. It seemed to be just as Van Boening was making the stroke. Whether it has much impact, I don't know.
Well, if it's anything like it normally is, it shouldn't, because he normally turns his hearing aids off during a match. I don't know if that's still the case. Maybe some fans out there don't know about SVB, of course. Deaf, but normally back in the day in big matches and whatnot, he would shut off the hearing aids. Great attempt there by Shaw. Okay, should come out maybe kind of above the 8 a little bit. He's going to have to play for the pink, of course, but he wants to play from underneath on the purple. Yeah, you see him pointing there. That's the line. Got just a little bit of angle, and he's close enough to it. He should be able to stun over. But I still think he's pretty amped up, in my opinion, anyways.
Now, just talking about participation, one thing in which pool is really outstanding, the percentage of people who do come to watch these tournaments who actually play the game is probably higher than it is for just about any other sport.
You know, we talk about, is there any more global sport? You know, when you talk about all the countries in the world and the different sports they play in different regions, but cue sports is all over the world, and American pool is definitely one of the most dominant.
Jayson Van Boening is threatening to become quite dominant in this match. Early on, this was looking like it might provide us with our only close finish of the day, and of course it still may, but it's taking on a different complexion now. Closing in a 3-rack lead.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if he settles here for a little distance. Kind of got above this. I probably would work the cue ball 3 rails, but we'll see what Shane chooses. Yeah, I think this match is far from over. And Jayson, one of those players that kind of wheels things like all the greats. Maybe a kick shot or a jump shot. Or you never know to get himself started, but he's going to be in it, I believe.
Three in a row for Shane Van Boening. He's starting to pull clear here. He leads Jayson Shaw 6-3. It's a race to 10 to claim the last place in the semi-finals of the World Masters. It's finally happening. We've been talking about it for what seems like about 5 or 6 years. The prospect of starting a new team event with Asia involved in it, and they will take on Europe, who get in as holders of the Mosconi Cup. It all starts the 17th of October in Manila, where it really had to be, JJ. For the inaugural staging, there was only one place it could go.
Yeah, absolutely. It had to be in the Philippines, of course.
Shane Van Boening to break, leading by 6 racks to 3.
Probably still the most loved pool player in the world, and deservedly so. Magician Efren Reyes. Well, he's got the timing of the break shot down, I'll tell you. This 2-ball's gotten a little funny, but it does cut in the side. One reason it's funny, I think the cue ball, of course, near the rail is going into the pink or a portion of the pink. It felt like it was going to hit it solid. That would be no problem. That would hold the cue ball, but otherwise he may have to dig on this or maybe add a little speed to get by the pink coming off the 2. That's what he did, playing an extra rail, playing for a little more of like a ricochet effect off the 2 to create another angle. A little worrisome coming back down the table, but there's always a risk in 9-ball pool. Expect that, Michael.
No, and Jayson Shaw will be very relieved to see it, because the events of the last 10 minutes or so were threatening to take this match away from him.
Yeah, this is where Jayson at times, especially when things aren't necessarily going his way, can lose a little focus, being a little upset that he didn't come away with more of an offensive shot. But I mean, there's all kinds of ways to look at it. SVB could be running out right now, and Jayson, I think, is a little, or not a little, but a lot more strong-minded than he gives himself credit or maybe recognizes, and just part of the game. Can you play this to the upper left and beat the scratch on the upper right? It's close. May play to overcut this. Play it to the left side rail, putting the 3 on the top cushion and trying to come some 2 rails near the cluster of balls. Yeah, that was by design for sure. Gonna give up a little piece. Nothing nice cueing though over the 9.
You can see some big names have already gone out of this tournament.
Extension call.
Pictures of all 16 players up around the arena, and they're all lit up, of course, and every time a player gets knocked out, the light on them turns red until eventually there'll only be one player left. And about this time tomorrow.
Wow, he had a lot more of that ball than I suspected, and look how narrowly he misses the 9. Trying to create something offensive. Pretty good effort. This is a little awkward, the cross side bank. I think if you cross it over, which I think that's how you have to play it, you may have to hit it kind of easy. He didn't have to cross it over. He could hit it in the face.
Did you see that little gesture with his head there? The come on. So pleased to see it go in. We saw a bit of emotion at the end of his match last night against Wong Kwok Kwang. A little bit more there. He is so pumped.
Yeah, well, that's something, and he's added to his practice regimen. He'll go hours just banking the ball, and Tell you why. I mean, the rail does not lie. Something. What I mean by that is you'll see players miss the pocket a little bit and the ball go in. But if you put a poor stroke on a bank shot, it'll tell you how bad you hit the ball and how bad the stroke was.
So it was a 3-9 combination in the 7th rack, which started this winning run that Shane Van Boening is on in this match. And now it's a 7-9 combo in the corner, which has extended that sequence to 4. And that is the margin by which Van Boening now leads. It's 7-3. Let's look back at some of the moments from that 10th rack. Jeremy, talk us through these if you would.
Yeah, here's the first two again, playing it with more speed to try and avoid the pink, trying to let the cue ball bounce a little more off the 2. Rip the bank cross side here, drawing the cue ball to the long rail, and a shot that, you know, American players love. Combination on the 9. I wouldn't say a total gimme, but 99 out of 100 usually. But I think he's still fighting. I think it hadn't really quit from last night at trailing 8-5. I think he's in a fighting mode more than a guaranteed mode, which is still special to see and really good from, you know, possibly one of the greatest ever, if not the greatest ever in tournament pool. And a guy that, you know, is now one of the elders as far as the top players in the world. He's definitely one of the older ones when you look at probably the top 30 or 40.
Yeah, you look at all the young players coming, particularly from Europe.
Shane Van Boening to break, leading by
Shane
7
Van
racks
Boening
to 3.
still going strong in his 40s. A big win at the Premier League. That's a title you really have to earn over and over again just a few weeks ago. Very strong now in this match. 7-3.
Well, thought he hit him somewhat how he wanted. Normally when they draw the ball 1 rail into the 9, that's the hit they want. What a big shot in the left middle here for Jayson Shaw. That's the face you want to see if you're a Jayson Shaw fan.
You know, just thinking, there are some people who feel that the golden break should be scrapped and that if the 9 goes down off the break, it should come back up onto the table. But just look a couple of times there where the 9 ball has gone anywhere near the pocket and you've heard the oohs and ahs in the crowd. Fact is, the public love it. So let's keep it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's going to come down where maybe someone wins a title heel with that golden break, and that's going to be all right too. But you know, these players get punished over and over when they draw the cue ball 1 rail into the 9 and scratch, because that ball in the spot is such a ball that creates a lot of scratches. So I like it. I don't like messing with the rules in the game other than trying to keep the integrity.
Just let me fantasize for a moment. It's the Reyes Cup. It's come down to the last match. It's 4-all. And a player from the Philippines, James Aranas, Johan Chua, someone like that, makes a golden break to win the inaugural Reyes Cup in Manila. Imagine what that would be like.
I'll tell you, yeah, they better have a strong building if that was the case, because it would be probably a chant like no other. But I'll tell you, I was thinking about that Reyes Cup earlier today, and you know, there's so many veterans. We can call James Aranas a Filipino veteran now, even though I don't know if he's even 30 years old yet. He's 28 maybe or something.
He's about to turn 32. Yeah.
Oh, 32. Okay,
yeah.
Well, I've known James a while and thought he was a little younger whenever I first met him. But they're going to have, you know, there's definitely going to be some Filipino players, so you got to believe that. But they're going to have a hard choice with the Anton Ragas and some of the youngsters coming out now. And, you know, there's no experience for any of those teams from Asia in that kind of setting. So you can throw all that aside. there from Eagle Eye. He's really just going to have to grind out this first game to get back on the board. That's apparent. Can he draw the 7 here? Playing the 1 with a little speed into the side? This would be a pretty shot if he can do it. I don't know if it's there. Maybe just draw 1 rail back over. He's going to let it rip here. Yeah, that's the shot I was talking about. 1 rail back over, and much better cueing there from the southpaw. Still not out of the woods, and that's how it goes when you make a few mistakes. You got to usually make a gritty out somewhere. You know, he's got to take on a pink with some angle down the rail to get back out for the 5. Oh, he's going to draw the ball. He didn't want to shoot the pink in the upper left. Beautiful stroke there. But still, the 6 is a little funny with the 8 covering it up. So a lot left in this rack. May have to draw up the table here and try and play a thin one on the green 6. I don't think that's going to get it. He's going to get kind of a bank shot. Definitely a little tester.
Seen as much pool as they would have liked today, this crowd here, because we've had some one-sided matches. You can tell they want this to go on and on. That can only happen if Jayson Shaw starts staging a big revival. This could be the start of it. So he lost 4 racks in a row, but he's won this one. Jayson Shaw has closed to 7-4.
Shaw cleans the rack.
So he seemed to play with quite a bit of freedom there. Let's look back at some of the moments from rack 11.
Yeah, nice combination from distance here. Really the shot of the rack, and there were a few, was probably the 1 ball after that combination. Yeah, watch the cue ball bend. Got a hair of a flick on the 7, which didn't hurt. But you asked me at the beginning of this match the difference in the 2 players, and I think that rack alone will show you that Jayson kind of plays with, you know, in the flow a little bit more. Maybe not picking things apart quite as much. Of course, uber talented. What a bank there on the 6.
So, has the break now. Finally back in his hands in rack 12, but it's not been particularly kind to him so far in this match. Scratched off it a couple of times.
Rack 12, Jayson Shaw to break. Trailing by 7 racks to 4.
Oh, and he's scratched for the 3rd time.
Ball in hand.
Yeah. Can't do much there. He really hit the rack purely. Made the 1 in the side, the cue ball.
Please start the clock.
Dodged the 9, but caught a nasty kiss with the 3 and the brown 7. Now the 6-9's an ugly cluster right there in the center of the table, but or near the spot rather. Now he could set up off the 3, the red 3, to lightly open those. Are you looking at a safety to start? This is a little surprising. No, he's going to play the 2. He's not going to put him behind the 7. He's playing the 2 in the lower left so he can get the line on the cue ball right, I think, to play the 3 and open the 6-9. He's starting to get a little of those crazy eyes. That's a scary moment for any opponent of SVB's.
Yeah, we often see him at this stage of a match bringing out what you call the crazy eyes, Jeremy. He just loves the winning line, doesn't he? He never shrinks from it. He always seems to be inspired by it. He certainly saw that last night.
Yeah, you could see a little shrug there. Cue ball, he wanted just an inch or two shorter. Doesn't want to force into the 9-6 so much. Could easily get jacked up or maybe even snookered. So I think he stays away from it. Problem is, where do you play off the 5 with the 8 in the way? He's got to play the pink in the upper right first, but where do you play off the 5 with the 8 in the way to gain some angle to get at the 6-9? This is tricky. You can see a little shake of the head, and I'm really not sure what the play is, really.
Extension called.
Could play a safety off the 6, going up behind the brown 7 here in a couple shots. Does have a little angle. He is close to it, so accuracy should be at a premium. And he could just stun one rail over below the 6. I mean, I don't think he loses control, and he can kind of evaluate from there. Play the safety if he doesn't like it. I think that's what he's going to do. Yeah, just like that. Now, if he's on the rail, there's not much options on the safety. But he does have a little bit the bottom of the cue ball. So I wouldn't doubt he knocks the 6 away and just holds behind the 9. He levels out. He's shooting at it. He jacks up. He's shooting at it, Michael. Tough shot.
All of a sudden, a chance for Shaw. Get back to only 2 behind. So Shane Van Boening left himself a challenging 6 ball. Once he missed it, Jayson Shaw did the rest. He's won 2 in a row now. Suddenly it's a big contest again. 7-5. So in the end, this was what we were looking back on as the decisive moment. In rack 12, Shane Van Boening had left himself a challenging green 6. If he'd got it, he probably would have led 8-4. As it was, by missing it, he let Jayson Shaw back in for his second rack in a row. And having trailed by 4 not so long ago, Shaw is now only 2 behind. And given that none of the losing players in the 3 earlier quarterfinals won more than 4 racks, this is now the closest match of the day.
Yeah, Jayson, the opportunities after the break, the little few he has had have been very difficult. It was a long 3 ball he had to try and come with early. The 2's not easy. But again, he's got to stay positive. He definitely has a route to cut this in the side and come down and maybe take an incredible cut shot on the 3 right there where he's looking from. I think he's got to do it, though. That's kind of what makes him Jayson Shaw. Now he's kind of sizing up the 3 off the 8, but I think the 2 in the corner is just as tough a shot as the 2 in the side, and I think the 2 in the side leads to a little more natural position.
Extension called.
Yeah, a little more body movement than I'm used to seeing from Jayson, and didn't leave the easiest of shots, that's for sure, but you could see he did gain that position if he had got it down, so I think it was worth the gamble.
Yeah, up very quickly off that one. I think the chap in the black t-shirt behind Jayson's chair there is wearing a picture of Efren Reyes, who we've
Extension called.
been talking about so much over the last couple of days.
Well, that guy means a lot to so many people. What's the safety here? This is really tricky. Trying to edge this. Okay, just keeping it as simple as possible. Trying to utilize the pink 4 and the purple 5. I think he did get the snooker, and I think you're right.
What would Efren do, it says. Yeah, we've spotted you. Well done.
Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, he's kind of kicking the 2 towards the 3, 7, 8. Well, he's going to love this unless he makes it.
Feels like the momentum is shifting here.
Well, he wants to kick lightly here, but is there really a path lightly? Doesn't want to really disturb all these balls. Gonna get a rail? Oh, nice shot. I don't know how the cueing is. He may edge this and come some 3 rails around the table. I don't know how much he can control it. Doesn't want the 2 to move much, so may just come behind the 9, 2 cushions. That's the shot I was talking about. Really let the cue ball run. The problem here is he left him a little piece, plus the kick to the bottom rail. He can kind of just clip the 2 underneath the 7, 8 and let the cue ball come up maybe 6 or 8, 10 inches. Okay, he's going to take the direct route at the 2. I think he's going to try and add a little spin, come 1 rail behind the purple 5.
Look how excited he is about pulling that off. Couple of motions with his head there as he walked back to his chair.
Well, it was a thin hit on the 3, but it may have been even more narrow going by the, excuse me, a thin hit on the 2, but even more narrow going by the red 3.
Look where it's led. It's another opportunity, but far from straightforward.
I think it may have been the first game where Jayson was really aggressive with the cue ball, drawing towards another cluster, kind of similar to where it's at now. It's that type of player, feast or famine. Like here, this may be too much. May be perfect. wonder about the 7-8, but with the 5, the purple 5 near the pink 4, these players can usually produce some type of angle to get almost anywhere on the table. That would be to open the 7-8 here. Just 3 shots. Playing from the short side, a little above the purple 5, that would be left of the purple 5. Not the worst to come at the 7-8. Looks like he's going to ease it, maybe. I don't know. You could see the body language, desperately trying to get an angle on the 5. And he's got to hit it with a little speed to create cue ball movement, but this is one you want to feel like you're not crashing into the 7-8, just a nice controlled one.
May well be looking back on that in just a few moments. There's the key juncture of rack 13. As this is another one going in the books for sure. Maybe about 20 minutes ago, Shane van Boening was breaking with a 7-3 lead. Shaw had lost 4 in a row. But now he's going to be breaking with a chance to level the match. Well, this, one of the best shots we've seen. Look at him, the eyes just moving, following it all the way, every inch. Do you think this means a lot to him? Wow. This will certainly mean a lot to everyone involved. The World Pool Championship won by Francisco Sanchez Ruiz in the snows of Kielce in early 2023 will now be defended in the heat of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia from the 3rd of June. $1 million prize fund, $250,000 going to the winner. Emily Fraser of Matchroom is the lady who's made that all happen. As indeed she has with so much else that's gone on in the sport in recent years. Creating new events like the Spanish Open, the UK Open, in particular the Hanoi Open. And also taking historic events like this and really revitalizing them, JJ.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job for Miss Fraser. And I tell you, the pool players certainly appreciate her and all the hard work and her entire
Rack
staff.
14, Jayson short to break, trailing by 7 racks to 6.
And the beautiful thing is, we all know they're not slowing down. Yeah, the break's kind of been all over the place, especially in comparison to what we've seen in the previous 3 matches today. The one narrowly missing. Of course, Jayson is one that will change sides quickly.
Well, Shaw's had 7 breaks now in this match, and put it this way, he's been leaving the table more often than he's been staying at it after those breaks. Was there maybe a bit of added pressure there? Because he knew that if he missed it, he was going to be leaving a great chance for his opponent to level the match.
Yeah, I don't know if any thought like that went through his head. We'll never know, of course, but I think they're both amped up. I really think the crowd has been incredible today. I think they both see that if things go their way from previous matches, that you can put a lot of racks together. Like we talked about before, these two have had some scrappy matches in the past with words exchanged and whatnot, and big moments like the Mosconi. So, and to be fair, I mean, we have 35-year-old Jayson Shaw and 40-year-old SVB is still 2 of the greatest in the world, but the game's getting younger, and they know their time is now. just always displays a beautiful touch on that kill shot. I like that little extra look there, even though he's not going to really change his mind. I think it'll just settle him on the pink a bit.
Eighth successive World Masters appearance for Jayson Shaw. He has in the past been one rack away from winning it. Looking to get through to the semi-finals for the third time. Shane Van Boening made that 7-9 combination. In rack 10, he'd won 4 in a row. He was leading by 4. Now, he's level again. Jayson Shaw has pulled it all the way back to 7 each. And it's a race to 3 from here. Well, that's a permanent fixture, isn't it? Whenever Jayson is playing, Ara, his wife, is always there watching. You know, Jayson's got the best parents-in-law in the world, because whenever the two of them come over to these events, and Ara always seems to travel with Jayson, her parents look after the business back home, the pool hall. Fantastic.
Yeah, and the 2 grandchildren,
and the
I'm
2
assuming.
children as well.
Yeah.
But they're good kids. They don't take
Yeah, they are great kids. I'll tell you, Connor, I'll tell you, you better have some energy because he's a-going. But yeah, just they were incredible at the PLP. They took care of everyone. Food off the charts, the Korean food, of course, and it was just a special 8 days there in Connecticut. None more special than SVB, but maybe feeling a little heat here now.
Well, we've been waiting all day for a close quarter-final. We hadn't had one prior to this. We had a couple of absolute landslides. At a margin of 10-1. Even the Filler Co match finished 10-4, and that was the closest we'd had prior to this one. At last,
Rack 15.
it looks as though we're going
Jayson
to get
short to break. The match is tied 7
a
racks
very
each.
tense climax. 7-all.
Well, didn't really see a kiss. Of course, we'll get another look. I was watching the one go down. Yeah, the cue ball did get a hair of a kiss on the 9, just maybe a quarter of the 9 ball. Probably didn't cost him really a pure shot on the 2, but almost cost him the cue ball. In the push out side of the game, which we haven't seen much here today, any of the matches really, but this is a part of the game I don't think Jayson gets enough credit. Now, can he see a piece of the blue too, to where he can just skim it, let it come off the rail a little bit to where it's not playable by the brown 7? Maybe get him behind the 3. It's close. The thing is, I think if he shaves it to where he does get behind the 3, maybe too thin. I don't know.
Extension called.
To where he may still leave a little bit of a pocket. And I like that, really. I think ignoring the snooker was much more important than and maintaining and making sure the blue 2 did not have a makeable pocket, really. You got to force the safety here. Where's Shane going to go? Is he going to bank the 2 back down? Kind of where the cue ball's at now, maybe coming behind the 8 and the 5. That's on the lower right part of your table. It's all about speed control. Looks a little firm with the cue ball. The thing is, you Now, a lot of times you say, let's get it to the back rail, but at this level, especially with the pink there, the 6-9, you really need the snooker. Otherwise, probably going to leave Jayson a pretty good return. Now, the problem for Jayson is the cueing. Cue ball ended up over the 8.
Extension called.
Wow. That's 7-all in a race to 10 quarter-final. What a piece of fortune to enjoy.
Yeah, big time fluke, catching both points on the side, going in the opposite side pocket. Like you said, the time of the fluke as well.
Such a consistent record in this tournament. Shane Van Boening made his debut all the way back in 2008. It's the 9th time in the last 10 stagings he's been at this quarter-final stage. Of course, the only player ever to successfully defend this title. In a few moments' time, he could be just a couple of racks away from getting through to the semis of the World Masters for a 6th time. So it was a big effort from Jayson Shaw to recover from 7-3 behind to make this a level contest. But one thing he is still yet to do in this match is actually lead it. And that's still the case because Shane Van Boening is back in front by 8 racks to 7. How big a moment could this turn out to be? Shane Van Boening taking on a testing 2 in the side pocket, misses it, and it goes directly across the table, and drops into the other side pocket. And from there, he went on to regain the lead over Jayson Shaw at 8-7, ending a losing run of 4 racks in a row for Van Boening. Now he's breaking in the knowledge that he just needs 2 more.
Rack 16.
Carl Boyce.
Shane Van Boening to break.
He's been a part-timer today, only did 2 matches. He's down there, well, sitting next to the boss. Should have known.
Box office Boise. Shane been way the best breaker in this match as far as results anyways. Okay, does he cut the 1 into the 8 here, trying to hold the yellow 1, where the 8 is, kind of replace that position, letting the cue ball come some 2 rails behind the 6. Green 6. I don't think old Shorty, the jump cue's much of an option. It's a kick that definitely should be hit. Well, I wouldn't go that way, I don't think anyways. I understand what he's looking at, but you have to go to the right long rail here. Way too often these players, when they do make the hit on this type of kick, they make that ball in the upper left. Missed a shot in that right middle, and I think this 1 does play by the brown 7. I think he's got to attack here. I think he's feeling it a little bit, but I mean, this is what he does best, is make these tough shots to open runs.
Extension called.
Timing and some certain shots just haven't been there. Now, does the red 3 pass the pink 4? I think it does. I do think it's a bit tight though. But what a nice starter here on the 1 to get us to 8-8. Much different match than the first 3.
Just to say, as you might expect, the winner of this match will be playing in the second semi-final tomorrow against Federgorst. Joshua Filler will be on first against the defending champion Copigny.
Now he has 2 options on the green 6. I kind of like him just stopping the cue ball right there and playing from underneath myself off the pink 4. Yeah, that's the angle I like. He could draw this above. I would stay underneath it though. I don't want any serious mistakes. Just play maybe 3 rails, maybe 2 cushions underneath the 9, whichever he likes. It's going to be a pretty good speed there. We're going to be knotted at 8 soon here, Michael, and just everything we wanted.
Well, there's only been 1 hill finish so far. The 11 previous matches in this tournament. Shane van Boening was involved in it. A few moments' time, he's potentially a couple of racks away from finding himself in another. And level. Jayson Shaw coming from behind at 2-all, at 3-all, at 7-all. And now again at 8-all. Try
Jayson
picking the winner
Shaw
here.
wins the rack.
Well, we said earlier, they didn't want to see another runaway. They wanted to see a long match here, and that's exactly what they're getting, and it's been so intriguing. You look at Jayson Shaw, and all those years he was trying to win a Matchroom individual event. Did win the US Open, but that was before it was under the Matchroom umbrella. He was going out very early in the big Matchroom events for much of 2023. Went out of the World Championship in the last 32 to John Morra in a hill finish. Same stage of the UK Open, same stage of the Spanish Open. Didn't even reach that stage of the UK Open. Got sent to the one-loss side by Johan Chua. Managed to get into the single elimination, but then drew the defending champion Alban Ocean, who edged him out. And of course, he had a first-round defeat in this tournament last year where he won only one rack. Started to turn it round, though, at the US Open. Had a big lead in the quarter-final. Alexa Pechelge came back to beat him. But then it all came together in Hanoi just a few weeks later. Now that he's got that monkey off his back, as it were,
Jayson short to break.
he wants to go on and add more of these prestige titles. Got a big chance of doing that tomorrow if he can find another couple of racks here. It's 8-all.
Well, the first real easy kind of opportunity after a nice break off. And you could hear the pink four hitting kind of simultaneously as the one hit the side. I tell you, looking for a lead here late. A lead that would get him to the hill. Fall a little straight here, maybe even a little off straight. And you could see a little grimace. Gonna work through it. It's been a little bloody at times for the two. It hasn't been perfect, but it sure has been fun. If he hits the 7, this could be problems. Big problems. So I'm gonna get to see why he's considered one of the best on the long pot.
Extension called.
Yeah, the least surprising extension call of the day. He knows this is massive. Gets it right. More likely than not, it goes 9-8.
Jayson Shaw running out from the break and Jayson Shaw leading. And in one instant there, they both just happened.
Well, what are the odds against that, JJ?
Well, I tell you, to start the week, Di, our host, our lady on the screen, she asked me what to expect, and I think the unexpected was my answer, and we see it once again. Unbelievable.
Well, he missed it by a long way. There was a huge amount of pace in it. And I'd love to have a speedometer on that 9 ball as it went into the side pocket. Absolutely flew in. And how is SVB feeling? I don't think Jayson can quite believe what's happened.
Yeah, I think Jason's got more of a range of emotions than Shane does. I think Shane's still pretty upset about a couple open misses that he could have maybe not won the match with, but he could have certainly got to the hill first in the last with that 1 ball. They weren't easy, but ones he usually buries.
Well, he came back from a much less promising position last night. 8-5 down, needed to win the last 4 racks against Wong Kwok Wang and did it. Now he only needs to win the last 2. Will he have the chance to do anything about it?
Well, it's a rack that has a lot of work, and a blue 2 that has been pretty similar a few times for Jayson, kind of queuing over a cluster near this lower right corner. Maybe having to put some pace on it to get shape on the red 3 that's been in a similar position, but this blue 2 will tell us what's going to happen and who's going to probably be our final semifinalist.
Shane Van Boening loving the line. It looks like Jayson Shaw is relishing the imminent prospect of victory here.
Yeah, what a shot on the blue 2. I know we'll get another look at that soon, but I tell you, prime position now to kind of steal this match, you may say.
Yeah, I think that's how Van Boening will feel about it.
And dead straight is not what he wants, but he can handle it with the 7 near. He's just going to come over and have a look where he wants the cue ball, since it is going to be near the rail. He may have to draw this back a pinch and take a little cut shot on the 7. He's thinking about going off the 9, going forward. That's okay as well. I may look at drawing it. It's just kind of like your preference. Just stayed there. So you're going to elevate here? Okay, when the heart's thumping, this is a missable ball.
He's absolutely thumping them in now.
Yeah. Tell you what, 2 impressive wins from Fedor Gorst, but he's going to get his wish of eagle eye in that semifinal, and that's going to be box office kind of stuff.
Well, it was good fortune which took care of the previous rack, putting him into the lead for the first time in the match, getting him to the hill. This rack has been all quality. Jayson Shaw was 7-3 down, but by winning 7 of the next 8 racks, he has defeated Shane Van Boening by 10 racks to 8. Such a big finish to the match from him, and Jayson Shaw is through to the semi-finals of the World Masters for the first time in 6 years. Who's to say he won't win it for the first time ever round about this time tomorrow? Van Boening is out, Shaw is the winner, and he will play Fedor Gorst for a place in the final. Well, I don't know who's more shell-shocked by all that. Jeremy, you or SVB?
Well, like I said, I think SVB's even quickly realizing he kind of gave a few chances away early. Could have had a bigger lead even, especially because Jayson didn't really come away with many rolls in the match. Now, Jayson had some errors here early as well, but a couple awful kisses on the cue ball, which were some scratches, and there were some big turning points in this match, and that's what we see in 9-ball pool, even if there's some mistakes or even if it's pretty much perfect. But you got to be happy for Jayson putting in the time, right? Working out, trying to get the mind right.
And he loves all this, doesn't he? He can't get enough of it, no matter how much the fans want from him. And he just delivers it over and over again. So we can see some numbers now relating to the match that we've just seen. A couple of breaking runs. Shaw's came right at the end. And the missed pots there, that's significant.
Yeah, that's close to double digits. You may see that 2 or 3 times in SVB's career, or any of these great players. And I'll tell you, it was long pots were trouble. And maybe no coincidence, these players, of course, seeing all the emotions in the other matches, of course, big score lines, and them having to be the last match, nothing easy.
The 3 fouls there in Shaw's column, they were the scratches from the break. They were holding him back for a lot of the match as he tried to build some momentum. But what an extraordinary moment that was, when it looked as though Van Boening was going to be getting back to the table in what turned out to be the penultimate rack. You get to the hill first, and then the 9 just flying into the side pocket. So Jayson Shaw is through to the semi-finals. He's always got plenty to say for himself. Let's hear what he had to make of all that.
Thank you very much, Michael. We are literally catching our breath. These two are having a good old natter about that. Jayson, massive congratulations. How are you feeling right now?
Sweating.
Oh, you sweat? Yeah, it's actually boiling in here, but also that was just, honestly, got all our temperatures going that game.
Yeah, it was just, you know, straight from the beginning, you know, I broke off and got kicked in off, and then...
you were 7-3 down.
Yeah, it just seemed like everything was running against me. He missed a few balls and kind of left me nothing. I scratched a couple of times, and I played one bad safety at 3-3. But other than that, you know, winter breaks, you always know you have a chance to come back. And even when I was 7-3 down, I knew if I could get a couple of games back to like 7-5, 7-6, maybe he might make a couple of mistakes, and he did make a mistake on the 6th ball. But yeah, just delighted to get over the line there in a super tough match.
I love the passion. The celebrations as well. You've been signing signing autographs for all the fans here. I mean, you're through to the semi-final for the first time in 6 years. What does this mean?
I don't know if it's 6 years though. I was thinking about that. I think it's only like.
Oh, I'm just going to get confirmation.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I think it was only like 4 because we missed a year for COVID, right?
Oh, fair enough. Okay, you're through to the semis. It's a pretty big deal.
We'll be in the middle.
Listen, I'm just delighted to get through. You know, it's always a tough match against Shane. And we always seem to have good battles. There's always going to be a loser, but I'm glad I'm not the loser this time.
What I will say is at 7-5, remember the rack he pulled out? He pulled out a tremendous finish at 7-5 down. Remember that one?
Yes, actually, the security guard said to me when I had the little break, he said that last out was unbelievable.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. But listen, I've known Jayson a long time. Oh, you know, over the events, he's coming up to me saying, "Oh, he's having a bit of luck. I'm not having any luck." He's not going to say that now because at 8-all, that was a massive fluke on the 9. But he hung in. He dug in. That's what you got to do at 9 ball. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. But you know, when you look at out of the 10 racks, you know, he's won. He's played some beautiful outs in that match.
Yeah. What are the emotions like?
How
do you compose yourself?
When you're down, you know, to be honest with you, if I'm being completely honest, at the start of the match, yeah, I felt okay, but I didn't feel like really settled in the match. I felt a little bit edgy on the cue,
right.
Maybe more adrenaline than nerves.
Yeah.
But like I said, once I'm down, sometimes you can, or anybody's down, you can just go out there and try and play your game and forget about it, knowing that, you know, you're already down. A couple more mistakes, you get beat. But if things start going your way, you can turn the match around, and that's what happened. Yeah,
you can go out and be aggressive. Let's have a look at a couple of your highlights from the game. Talk us through this.
Yeah, this shot, actually, I was practicing this over there yesterday for like 30 minutes, this draw shot, and I must have missed it like 15 times.
And you got it there.
Yeah, and I got it there. I got a little flick off the 7, but still a good out. This full rack was a very good out. But yeah, like I said, there was a lot of racks in there that were tough, and I managed to kind of, you know, get through the racks and get out and put a little bit of pressure on them.
Yeah, nice bank shot there where, you know, if you miss it, you've probably lost the rack as well.
Yeah, and then the 7 ball wasn't easy either, you know. There was a lot of good shots in that rack, but like you said, one of them don't go in and there's probably game over.
Well, that's the thing, you know, obviously, you know, you look at the flukes or you look at the break shots, but, you know, running the table at 9 ball, there's a lot of tricky shots, and unless you play at a high level or you understand it, I don't think you really understand it.
No, I mean, tactically, you really capitalised on the misses, but tomorrow is a whole new kettle of fish. You're playing Fedor Gorst. How are you feeling about that?
I'm actually pumped for that match. I heard him talking earlier saying that he wants to play me.
Did you hear that?
He said he wants you.
So
I'm so glad you did.
He said that in Hanoi, and I think I beat him there, so hopefully there's another one coming this time. Yeah,
just confirmation that you won the Hanoi Open title in October. What did that mean to you, beating him?
Well, you know,
not just him, the whole field.
The whole
it was
field.
massive.
I played unbelievable that tournament, but you know, down to from the quarters, I had really tough matches. Obviously, the Fedor match was tough. Then the semi-final, I played Sanjin, was another tough match, and then Albin in the final was just one of the most unbelievable matches you'll see in a final. And you'll probably agree with that. It was wild out there in the final.
Jayson, do you feel like you play better when there's a little bit of needle as opposed to you like somebody?
I was going to say.
Yeah, you know, I feel like it just kind of gives you that little bit of something inside you to be like, okay, you want to do that? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
You know,
is there going to be a 2-hour swim in the morning?
Well, I actually had like a 40-minute swim this morning, but there was about 1 million kids splashed all over me, so I left. So I don't think I'll be going back tomorrow. Oh,
well, Carl did his swim this morning, but rest up, you've got a big... I'm joking. Did you do your run, your 5K?
Yeah, I did a run.
He did, yeah.
Straight to the breakfast.
I like your answer. I do. I love the fact that you're exercising, feeling good. It makes you feel good around the table. You really did dominate in those final few racks. Well done. You through to the semis. And I think are you going to be cheering them on tomorrow? Yes, you've got a lot. Come on. Good stuff. Yeah, we've had a brilliant crowd in here tonight, and a lot of them have been supporting you. Thanks so much. Go and rest, Jayson. These are confirmation of the results. Thank you. So going back to this afternoon's session, Joshua Filler, the German man, is through to the semi-final. He overcame Ko Ping-chung. His brother Ko Ping-yi was victorious. Look at that deficit, 10-1 against the number 1 seed, Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz. The evening session, Fedor Gors 10-1 in that, and then it was super close in our final game. If you are just tuning in, where have you been? It's been brilliant. Jayson Shaw takes the spoils, so he takes on Fedor Gors in our second semi-final, and Ko Ping-yi plays Joshua Filler. There's going to be a lot of support for the 2022 winner tomorrow, Joshua.
Yeah, there is.
Here on German soil.
Well, there's going to be a lot of support for sure as well, because obviously he plays for Team Europe, he's European captain. He had a lot of fans in here tonight, but look at them 2 semi-finals. They are tasty matches, they really are.
Oh, they certainly are. Well, let's just stick to the first semi-final. Where do you think the smart money's going in that one?
It's so tough, you know, both players are playing very strong. Filler wants it bad. I can't separate them. I've got to sit on the fence.
Yeah, well, you're not allowed to sit on the fence.
I'm going to say Joshua Filler.
Okay, the 2022 champion you're going for. He's up against the defending champion, Ko Ping-yi. But Ko Ping-yi's been so impressive.
Yeah, brilliant. You know, he's making a good account for himself to keep hold of the silverware, isn't he? Doesn't want to give it back. And, of course, if he does that, 2 of the 3 majors stay in the Ko family. So he's got a little bit of pressure, but so's Filler. You know, he wants to win on home soil. He's said this all week.
And the second semi-final, as you alluded to, there's a bit of needle, isn't there, between Jayson Shaw and Fedor Gors?
There is a little bit of needle, you know, it's a bit friendly, but, you know, sometimes, you know, it goes over the edge a little bit. You know, Shaw was giving Gors a lot of ribbing for going over to Team America in the Mosconi Cup.
Yeah.
Then they played in Hanoi. There was a bit of needle in that match. Shaw got the victory in the end. It was a tight match. It was a great match, but Fedor missed the 7-ball right near the end.
Yeah.
Shaw got the win, so they'll be trying to beat each other up tomorrow.
Okay, who's going to win that one? And Jayson is listening.
I'm going to say Jayson.
Yeah, I thought you might do that. Brilliant, thanks, Carl.